awesome new Japanese bands who, based on their subscriber count, it would appear that you probably haven't found yet. Yes, that's what we're here to check out today. I have 4 more bands who I'm recommending I think will be worth watching for the future. And today we're going to be focusing a lot on bands. Yes, I've heard what you guys said, so a little bit more of the rock and roll and heavier side is what we're going to be looking at today. So let's get started with my first pick of a band who I think you should be checking out. First of all, Atozome. Now, this is one of those rare examples of a band where I just can't understand why they don't have more than the 1,200 odd subscribers that they currently have. And to be honest, they've been around for almost 5 years looking at their YouTube channel. And in the last 12 months alone, they've had 6 music videos that have been absolutely brilliant and quite varied. On top of that, they've got a lead singer who is a fantastic front person for the band. She's got a really great soulful vocal style, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Glim Spanky, but you know, she's got something of her own. Beautiful sort of held notes which really have soul in them, but at the same time she gives it a little bit of rock attitude. Put behind that a band who know how to do some really good sort of hard charging rock songs, but also do songs like the one that came out just 2 weeks ago that has a really kind of dancey, fun, shuffly vibe. And you check out the music video and it's kind of almost got a little bit of a disco feel to it as well. And then you've got songs, like I say, that are heavier. You have songs that are in more of a ballad territory. This is one of those bands where I recommend just going down the rabbit hole and going through their whole collection. Now, I'm going to link you to one of the more rocky songs that came out a few months ago, but absolutely, I would say go just check out a few of their songs. I think you might well be impressed. This is one of those bands that really, I think, will appeal to the people who just sort of like good quality, soulful musicianship, but want a band who are able to switch into different gears and not just repeatedly do the same thing. I cannot believe they only have 1,200 subscribers. If someone can tell me what's going on with that, I would love to know, but we'll definitely be trying to get in contact with them, hopefully get them for an interview. And I think in the meantime, you should be checking them out. Let me know what you think, and let's move on to our next band. And next up is Kilt Melt Land. Yeah, that's a sort of title that sounds very scary for Scottish people. Anyway, so this is a band which is definitely much more in the heavy territory. You know, we've got the full-on screamo style stuff, but this is a band that's also very good at mixing various different things together. They kind of reminded me a little bit of that Passcode vibe, of the fact they know how to switch up their songs halfway through, do the poppy sung elements along with the screamo elements. The screamo elements are nicely in there as accentation, a lot like Emily in Passcode, so it doesn't feel like it's overbearing for someone who maybe is not normally into that kind of style of vocal delivery. I think this is something that definitely could bring together the fans of the heavier stuff with people who wouldn't usually listen to that kind of thing. It nicely does what Japanese music is so great at doing, which is fusing pop and metal and rock, melody with heaviness, you know, sort of passion and emotion with a little bit of craziness as well. And the interesting thing is, I'm basing this all off of the one and only song that they have. This is a band who, by contrast to our first entry, they've only got one song and they've already burst up to nearly 2,000 subscribers. They certainly are one of those bands who I think are going in that upwards trajectory direction. They're the sort of band who I think are definitely what people are enjoying overseas coming out of Japan. And I think this is one of those bandwagons you're going to want to get on nice and early, because they're not just following the style, they're actually showing some creativity here. I do really think this song has that vibe. It was interesting listening to the band in that first song. Like I say, the mixture of different things they had, but also the fact that you had that sort of very beautifully sung melody. I was actually kind of thinking with the lead vocalist, as I'm going to call her, the singing vocalist, that she kind of reminded me a little bit of that sort of lonesome blues style of singing. And then you're listening to the band, as I say, nicely mixing together so many things. This just feels like there's a lot of creativity. This feels like there's a lot of outlets. Even in their image, they really kind of look cool. They look very stylized. I know Japan's good at producing those kind of bands, but these girls just feel like they got everything together. It feels like after only one song, I got a good vibe. This might be going in a good direction, and I certainly would say that it's sort of band that's worth getting on board. Just have a little listen, be ready, because this could be a rocket ship that's about to take off. So, Kilt Melt Land, I think it's an interesting one, and with only one song, it won't take you long to have a little look and see what you think as well. Definitely, as I pointed out, probably the heaviest band that we've done on this series yet, but I think worth checking out, because I think it'll bring together a lot of people who would be, if you like, either in the heavy metal camp usually or not. Next up is Charm, and this is a band who've only got 221 subscribers, one of which is me, off the back of one music video. And again, this is a band who have just started, but I think are going in a really interesting direction. Now, similarly to the first entry in this list, I think that the lead singer has a voice that is just beautiful, really sort of creamy, soulful voice. She comes across so well here, but she's backed up by a band who are delivering a good sort of rock and roll backing. It's not one of those ones which I think we get a lot of now, where it's a little bit watery, sort of jangly. This has actually got a little bit of guts, a little bit of grit to it. It does rock quite well, but not at the expense of having that soulful quality. It's something that feels very passionate. It's a song that, to me, just oozes quality. It's a good first start that definitely does suggest a band who are going in a very good direction. And as with a lot of bands who I like to suggest for this list, it kind of shows to me that they've put a lot of effort into it. There's a feeling of professionalism down to the recording quality, the music video, but also just the sense that the musicianship is already there. Yes, there is room for them to grow, like there is for all of the bands on this list. I just feel that they've taken a really strong first step here. The song that I was listening to, well, the only song they have, has been going around in my head quite a lot since I first heard it, and I think it will stick with you as well. I would be very surprised if anyone listened to this band and didn't think, I want to hear more of them. It's beautiful, melodic stuff with that little bit of extra grit, with that little bit of extra oomph. I think that if you listen to this, you will be pressing that subscribe button. If you're either a fan of just sort of good melody, good musicianship, but you want something a little bit catchy or a little bit passionate, again, like with most of these bands, it combines so many things. Check them out. And for an interesting last entry, Folia. Yeah, this is an interesting one because you guys might know I've covered this band before. This is a band who, if you're into the Tokyo music scene, you probably will already know, most likely from their previous name, Fleur Fleur. Yeah, this is a band who were around for a while and then restarted, but they've only got up to like 2,100 subscribers since rebranding as Folia. They are definitely legends of the Tokyo music scene, a great sort of rock and roll band with fantastic musicianship. But you might have already seen, for example, the guitarist Kaho, because if you know Trident, who are themselves becoming quite popular, their lead singer, Asaka, she did that whole Gibson Epiphone music covers thing recently, and she was doing that with Kaho, the guitarist from Folia. This is a band who are quite well respected, and yet it's strange how few people actually already know them. So I want you guys to check them out. I want you guys to know, if you didn't already know, that Fleur Fleur are back as Folia. They've been in the New Guys for about a year now. I have put a link with all of these bands to a song below, and in the case of Folia, I've put the song Merry Go Round, their most recent single, which I think is an interesting one because they are still doing that rock and roll sound, but this song Merry Go Round just shows that they are managing to, as in their best moments, do little experimentations where they go in different directions. This is a band who've managed to carve out a reputation in the local scene, at least partly from the fact that they are not just a very good melodic, creative rock and roll band, but they're also a band who can add little extra flair, little bits of ideas and creativity that a lot of their peers maybe can't. They're one of those bands who know how to give their songs individuality, personality, give them all their own identity, and that's something that I really like in a band who aren't just a one-trick pony, but they can do multiple things. They can bring different things to each of their songs so that every time you press play with them, it's a new and interesting experience. And Folia, previously Fleur Fleur, are definitely one of those bands, so do go check them out. That is my full suggestion. As with all of these, links are in the description below. So there you have it, my 4 suggestions for bands who definitely are not getting much awareness, but you should be checking out because they are the sorts of bands who either have already proven that they can do a lot of great things and are not getting enough appreciation, or have just started out and are pointing in a direction where I think a lot more people are going to be joining on that bandwagon, so good to get on there nice and early. As always, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think of these bands. You can get your own suggestions as well. The links, as I mentioned before, are all in the description below, so please do go check them out. Please remember to subscribe to them as well. Most of these bands, they put their social medias out there. Go show some love, follow them. They really appreciate it. I think anyone who's been into Japanese music knows how much these Japanese bands really appreciate when you follow them. And if you're new to the scene, I assure you that even if you message them or comment in English, they're going to really appreciate it. So get out there, show them a little bit of love, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of these bands. We'll get to see them grow, get to see them have more subscribers. And if you support good music, you get more good music. As always, I will be back with more of these suggestions in the next sort of month or so. And remember that on this channel, we are now interviewing a lot of the bands who we mention in these videos. So if there's any bands particularly that you want us to go interview, let us know. But we'll be contacting and reaching out to any of the bands who are really impressing us, like these 4. So Get your suggestions in, get your comments in, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao, ciao.